We're back for another video.
Yes, another video, yay! So if you can't tell already by our shirts.
I can't tell because I can't see. I got the Millennium Falcon and the Death Star.
And I got bad guys.
You got Kylo Ren.
I got bad guys.
He's good in the end.
So,
Spoilers.
This week's episode is about Star Wars.
And we are going to warn ahead of time, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen them.
Yeah.
Don't watch.
Do not watch this video. So this episode, if you have not seen all of the Star Wars. Spoilers! Alright. So you said you just like don't do like an opening, just do like
Yeah. This is when we started, we say, hey, welcome to another episode. You don't necessarily need an opening.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like I always just thought like you just needed one, so I just did one. Do you want me to move this closer to you?
I don't know. How'd you have the last time?
I think I were closer.
You should move yourself this way. Like you move your chair. There you go.
Alright. I think we're in good positions here. Alright. Are you gonna say you wanna start? Yeah.
What do you want me to say? It's Friday night in the Cigar Lounge. Come at you with another episode. I don't know. What?
That's what I'm asking. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start it?
I'll start. It's fine. Welcome back. It's Friday nights in the Cigar Lounge with another episode with Small Height, Big Inside.
And this week's episode, we are going to be talking about Star Wars. The different 9 movies. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And the
little backstory before we even jump into this episode. She just watched all 9 like last weekend since it was May 4th, Star Wars Day. I finally got her to watch them and she fell in love with them.
Okay, to be honest, I have seen, like, back when they came out, like, I had...
Oh, we're just jumping right into this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why I said before we get started, a little backstory.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm
No,
just kidding.
tell everyone the cigar you are smoking tonight.
I'm smoking a patina cigar. It's a Connecticut wrap. I've had the Maduro patina, but never the Connecticut, so I don't have much to say about it right now. I will smoke it as we go and see how it tastes. And to drink, I am having my PBR whiskey as usual with I liked it so much last week that I have the zero sugar cherry Coca-Cola energy drink mixed with the PBR whiskey again because it was so delicious, and I think that's going to be my drink every Friday now.
I am also having a drink, but I can't tell you what it is unless I take it out of the container. Can't remember. Oh, it's the Corona Hard Seltzer Spiked Sparkling Water. They're actually really good. So, sorry everyone, just jumping forward. Anyways, I just want to say first that I have seen some of the Star Wars movies, or I had seen when they came out, because my brother was into them. So I had seen like bits and pieces of them, but I was never like a big Star Wars fan. And I think when the new movies came out, we went and saw one in theaters.
We went and saw The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, and I was like, oh, okay. But then
She didn't enjoy it.
No, I didn't. I didn't understand it. It was just like, okay.
She basically watched episode 7 before anything else, so it's like, what the heck are you doing? You gotta at least, I mean, whether you like the prequels or not, start with 1 or start with 4. Don't just start with 7.
Yeah, so it was just kind of. Well, I just kind of sat in the theater. I was like, okay, this is cool, but all right. And
I don't even think you said this is cool. Yeah, I think after you saw it, you're like, this was stupid. This was dumb. What are we watching?
So on May 4th, we celebrated our cat's 3rd birthday. And yes.
Little Bohannon was born on Star Wars Day.
He was born on Star Wars Day. So everybody was posting like every year, May the 4th be with you, and it's like every year it's a thing. And he finally said, like, have you seen the movies? And I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like, you know what? That's what we're going to do. This whole week, we're going to sit and we're going to watch these movies. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We're going to do that. So I can say after watching all 9 movies, I thoroughly enjoyed all 9 movies. Now that it makes sense. And I also cried during some of those movies.
We'll get there. Well, let's start with episode 1, The Phantom Menace. What was your opinion of that movie? I think you cried during that one.
I think you did too.
Spoilers! Again, we need to say this because we didn't say it on the podcast yet, but there are spoilers before we get too far into this. So if you care about the Star Wars movies and haven't seen them, don't listen any further.
Well, first, you were upset because...
Qui-Gon dies.
Well, first, you were upset because I watched them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I wasn't
supposed to
I
watch
wasn't
them
upset.
as
No.
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
I wasn't upset that we watched them that way. I just said that you could have, you could watch them any way you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 was technically the order they should be in, but if you watch them in the order they came out, then it takes away from the big reveals of some of the stuff. So if you watch 1, 2, 3 before you watch 4, 5, 6, it takes away the reveal of knowing that Luke and Leia are brother and sister, and that Darth Vader is their father.
Yeah. So yes, in the first movie I don't think I cried. I wasn't as attached to that character as I was in other movies.
Well, what was your favorite part of that movie then? We'll go with that. What was your favorite part of the first movie? And I know your least favorite part.
Oh, it was when he died. That was my favorite.
Well, just Darth Maul in general.
Yeah, I just didn't enjoy him, period. He was he was just horrible.
Darth Maul is great.
I don't know. My favorite part of that movie. That's hard.
Is it?
I think, like, any part with, what is his name? Oh my gosh.
Whose name?
The guy that doesn't die, but...
Obi-Wan?
Yes. Any part with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, I just enjoy watching him. Like, he was, like, it was, because I think it was, like, he was more, like, in training still at that point, and then when his master dies, he, like, I feel like becomes a master. It's almost like pushed into it, but he's good enough to be a master. But then I think he also takes on the role of training Anakin, even though, like, nobody wants, like, everybody's like, no, don't do it. What was your favorite part?
My favorite part of episode 1 was probably... I like the pod racing.
Oh yeah, that was an episode.
Yeah, Anakin when he's little.
Oh yeah.
I like the pod races. That's probably the best part of episode 1. And anything with Darth Maul. I was him for Halloween when I was younger.
Yeah, we're sitting watching this movie, guys, and he's like, oh yeah, I was this guy for Halloween, and I'm like, the bad guy with the red face. Like, that's who you were, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
He was
best
like-
guy.
I hated him. Like,
Double-sided lightsaber. Why not?
he was the worst character ever.
Really? Worse than Darth Vader?
What?
Worse than Palpatine?
Oh no, Palpatine is just like horrible.
The Emperor?
You just learn to like hate him.
Alright. So that's episode
That's
1.
episode 1.
What is your favorite part of episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
I think my favorite part of episode 2 is the fact that the princess is so sly that when like they go out, she like
She's not a princess anymore.
oh in the second one she's
Is queen.
oh yeah, wait then she is.
No.
Oh
And
yeah,
she's
in the-
queen,
in the
she's never a
first-
princess.
Oh yeah. I don't know, she's just so sly. Like I just like, cause in the second is the
She's
second.
senator.
Oh yeah, the second one. Yeah, because the second one's a love story between.
Yeah, then that's the worst part about that movie.
I think that's my favorite part. Is like she's so sly about it, and she's like, "Oh, I don't love you," but she does, and I think that's like the whole thing of the second one is the love story. Like it's just.
Yeah. So why is the weakest in the Star Wars saga? Definitely the weakest installment in my opinion. Fight me on it.
But I think that's what I like about that one. It's because it's a love story. But you don't like it. You think that sucks.
Alright. Now that I probably don't have anything good to say about that one, let's move on to episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
I can honestly say there is nothing that I like about that one.
Oh, come on. That was the best one. When he becomes
When he
Vader.
becomes Vader is the worst
No,
movie
it's because it's
ever.
like building up for it. You know it's coming. If you've seen the originals, you know that's coming, so you want to see it happen.
It's like you watch the first one and you're like, oh, he's a little kid and he's all cute and he wants to become like a Jedi, and you're like, oh yeah, like Anakin. And then the second one, you're like, oh, Anakin is falling in love. And at the spoiler at the end of that movie, they get married, and you're just like, oh, they're married. And
the end of the second movie. they got
yeah,
married.
at the end of the second
We're
movie.
talking about the third one.
But then by the third one, you're just kind of like, you know it's coming, and then it comes, and you're just like, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, awesome.
That's the point. That's why you watch the original 4 first.
Like, I think it was just really upsetting for me because, like, I knew it was coming. Like, I knew Anakin was.
But you didn't know he was going to kill his wife. Basically, by turning
Yeah,
to the
I
dark
didn't know
side.
that. But it was, like, one of those things where, like, you know he's going to turn, but you're, like, hoping, like, he doesn't. You're like, I know you're going to be a bad guy. And you're like, maybe you won't. It was just upsetting. I didn't like that movie.
So, when did you cry during the second one? Going back to the second episode.
Did I? I don't think I cried during the second one. I definitely cried during the third one.
Yeah, there were a lot of times you cried during the third one.
I definitely cried, like, when he was, because in the third one he's fighting, he fights Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I cried. And I'm like, don't fight. And then he, like, I cried when he, like, started, spoiler alert, burning up in the fire from, like, the lava. And he's, like, dying. You think he's dying, and it made me cry. And then I cried even more because, like, his wife just doesn't have the will to live because he turned to the dark side. It's just upsetting.
Yeah.
The whole movie is upsetting. Moving on.
That was the best one of the prequels.
No.
It was better than 1 and 2, yes. 100 times better. If I had to pick between the prequel trilogy, 3 would be the best. Moving on.
Forward.
Episode 4, A New Hope. Previously just entitled Star Wars. You ever think of that?
No, it's telling me I had a Facebook thing. See, I liked 4 because if you, like you said, if you watched them 4, 5, 6, you don't know that that's his son. But watching it the way I watched it, you're like, oh, it's his son. There he is.
His daughter.
And
Why are they kissing? No, that didn't happen in that one.
No, that didn't. That was. No, that was in the next one. But you're like, oh, like for me, like it made it was a connection and everything, and Obi-Wan Kenobi taking him like underneath his wing and wanting to teach him how to become a Jedi.
Old Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, like my least favorite parts of that was like his family getting burnt up in their home. Like that was upsetting. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi, like I guess like he was one with the Force, but like he wanted him to hate his father, which is understandable. He doesn't meet Yoda in that one, does he? Yeah, he does go to meet Yoda because he tells him. No, he meets Yoda in the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also you cried when all the Jedi started dying in episode 3. They executed Order 66.
Yeah.
There was another one.
Oh my gosh, when
They
he started
kill
killing
all
all the Jedis, I cried so bad.
All the little Jedis.
All
Little
the baby
Padawans.
ones, yeah. It was so upsetting. That movie was so upsetting. Like, and then you're like, oh, this movie's for kids. I'm like, this movie is not for children. Like, I would never let my child sit and watch this movie.
Yeah. I would.
What did you like about episode 4?
Blowing up the Death Star.
That's something else that I did not realize they did all in like one movie. I thought like that was like in a span of like so many movies, and then it just like all was in one movie. I was like, oh, they blew up the Death Star. Like, oh, okay, movie's over, series over. Like, it's all done. So
Please, Obi-Wan Kenobi or
yeah.
No. And then episode 5. What do you like about that one?
It's when he meets Yoda. It's like my favorite part. I love Yoda. He's like great.
The Empire Strikes Back.
See, my favorite part of that movie is when his ship is sinking in the mud pit, and Yoda's telling him to get it out, and he's like, I can't do it. Like, nobody can do it. And he's like, yes. Or he says, do or do not do.
There is
no try. And it was great. And then he just goes over and lifts it out, and he's like, oh my god, I can't believe you did it. He's like, yeah, that's because you didn't believe. It's like, I think I even posted on my Instagram. It was like those lines are just like so great because you can apply it to anything in life, like do or do not. Like, there is no try.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of the movie.
Is it?
Yeah. It was great. What's your favorite part of the movie?
Yeah. Damn, favorite part.
There was nothing in that movie like.
No. I'm more of a Return to the Jedi over Empire Strikes Back. That's debated as what's the best Star Wars movie, Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back. But then jumping ahead, I like Episode 8 the best, which everyone hated. But we'll get there.
So next is
Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Balance is restored in the Force.
See, I liked. There was like dislikes and likes, but I liked that. Like that was probably like I cried. I definitely cried during that one, cause like it was like leading up to him fighting his father. Then he goes to fight his father, and his father can't kill him, obviously, because that's his son. Like, you can't kill your own son. And then Palpatine is like, choo-choo, with his like magic,
is that the coffee maker?
Magic fingers, and
Magic fingers.
And his dad sees him, and it was like so touching. Yeah, I am. I'm about to cry right now. It was just like, it was so touching, and it was so great to see him come back to the good side and save his son. And I cried.
Take off his mask. You cried when you saw the Force ghost of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and
yes, I did.
Anakin, which they switched to the younger version of Anakin in the movies.
Yes, I did.
You're both crying.
Yeah. Next.
Alright, on to the new saga, the new trilogy. I guess not the new saga, but the sequel trilogy. Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Kylo Ren, Rey.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I liked her. Like, it was a new twist on things, and at first you were kind of like, okay, who is this girl, and what is this story? But like, the more you get into the movie, like, you begin to like her. She's just like
Poe. Poe's the best character.
BB-8 is the best character.
But he goes hand in hand with Poe.
That's true. I just like the whole movie. Like, there's nothing I didn't like about that movie.
I like Kylo Ren until he was like, you know, he's such a badass. You think he's like this big, mean, cool guy. But then he takes off his mask and it's like, oh, you're just basically a kid throwing a tantrum, it seems like.
Yeah. Because
Which he is.
Because he wants to live up to his grandfather's name, but he just
can't.
He can't.
He's got the disturbance and he doesn't know if that's what he wants to do. And he thinks by, spoiler alert, he thinks that by killing his dad, he confirms that that side is gone, the good is gone in him, but
it's not.
It's not.
Nope.
He struggles with it through the 3 movies.
Yes, he does. Next movie.
Which is the best movie, in my opinion, out of the sequel trilogy, The Last Jedi. Everyone, it's been mixed reviews, but I thought it was one of the best. It's probably up there with Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back.
Does anybody else feel, though, if you've seen all the movies, that 4, 5, and 6 like are very similar to 7, 8, 9? Like, it's almost like repeated.
That's what J.J. Abrams does. Did you not watch the Star Trek movies?
No.
Yes, you did.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yes. He remade the Star Trek movies. This first Star Trek movie was basically remaking the whole story of how Kirk and Spock met and how Kirk became captain. But then in Star Trek 2, Into Darkness, J.J. Abrams made it so it was them facing Khan again. And that was Star Trek 2 with the Wrath of Khan. So he basically re-images everything. And that's basically all the Star Wars movies are. She's going to tend to the cat. He's crying right now. But yeah, that's all the Star Wars movies are. There's 7, 8, and 9. They just are basically reimagining 4, 5, and 6. I mean, they have their differences, but you could find the same basic plot line, the storyline of redemption and whatever you want to say.
Yeah. So.
The Last Jedi. This is when you finally Luke. You
Yeah.
see Luke at the end of episode 7, and then he's like takes the lightsaber and just throws it over his back, like get it the hell out of here.
Oh my gosh, I was like so upset about that. It's like he just like doesn't care. He's like.
And that's why people, all the Star Wars fans out there, that like die-hard Star Wars fans, were so mad about that movie because they were like, it's so unlike his character. It goes against everything that you were led to believe about him. But I thought it fitted well.
Oh yeah, because you were talking about how, like, in that movie, he tries to kill his nephew because.
Well, it makes it seem like he was going
I don't have orange hair anymore.
Oh no!
No, it's all gone.
Look at that.
Nice.
What happens when you go to someone that really knows what they're doing?
That's right.
It looks good.
Thanks. I was crying all day.
Were you?
I'm like, I cannot go around with orange hair anymore. I'm like, it has to be fixed.
Yeah.
So, but the mall's open. Tanger Mall. It's calling my name. It says, Gina, come see all the stuff you haven't been able to see for 2.5 months.
Which mall?
Up at the Dallas Tanger
okay.
Outlet Mall.
Yeah.
It says, come see everything you haven't been able
Damn it,
to
that's so
see in
good.
2 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're looking forward to East Town Mall in Madison. Are they open? You know?
No, their Dane County's still on Safer at Home.
Okay. We figured Madison would be.
Madison, Milwaukee, and Green Bay are on Safer at Home
Okay.
still. But the whole rest of the world's going to watch Wisconsin become an example of how coronavirus is going to spike because we're all crazy.
It's gonna spike, but then it's gonna go level out,
I think
and
it
nothing
will too.
bad, nothing really bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think the whole world's going to take us because, we made the world news last night. I was telling you guys that.
Yeah.
So, I should have stayed home and watched the world news tonight to see what they had to say about Wisconsin, but
Yeah, you're living it.
that's right, I'm living it. Gotta get my clothes ready for my cruising. Then we gotta show winter for my summer clothes.
I was have to edit all that.
Anything? Is it even still recording? I don't think it's recording.
Yes, it is recording. Sorry, everybody. That was our neighbor.
Crazy neighbors.
I don't even know where they lived.
Play it back. Jedi. This is when you finally see Luke at the end of episode 7, and then he's like takes the lightsaber and just throws it over his back. Like, get it the hell out of here.
Oh my gosh, I was like so upset about that. He just like doesn't care. He's like.
And that's why
He
people,
forgot to close
all the
another window.
Star Wars fans out there, that like die-hard Star Wars fans, were so mad about that movie because they were like, it's so unlike his character. It goes against everything that you were led to believe about him. But what do you think he does all day when we're not here?
Oh yeah, because we were talking about how, like, in that movie, he tries to kill his nephew because.
Well, it makes it seem like he was going to. Oh no?
I don't know how to edit that out.
You don't. You just let it go, and we had pause it. We had a disturbance. Go to the video if you want to see the disturbance.
Okay.
You say that.
So it makes it seem like he's going to kill him.
You gonna say that? There's a disturbance?
What? Oh.
That's what I just said. Yeah, because you just like cut it. Yeah.
Oh.
That's what I said.
Gotcha. Well, then. This is why the video is great because everybody just gets to see it.
Gets to see the outtakes, the real story behind the story.
Yeah, of our neighbor coming out and.
Ruining shit.
Talking.
Talking. Why does she gotta talk?
Sorry, everyone. We had to pause the podcast real fast because our neighbor came out and started talking to us. And if you want to see the behind the scenes on that, go to YouTube and watch that part. So anyways, we were talking about how some people didn't like the fact that they thought Luke's character was acting not like a Jedi should be acting, and how he was going to kill his nephew, but like you were saying before you got cut off, they wanted to portray it as he wanted to kill his nephew, but he ended up not doing it. But he wanted to because he could feel the darkness already in his nephew, and he didn't want his nephew to turn to the dark side.
Which is what led him to the dark side.
Yeah, which led him to the dark side anyways. And everybody was upset because they were like, that's not the way a Jedi should be acting and everything. And to me, I thought that like perfectly portrayed the way maybe Luke would act, because you gotta think too that Luke's father was Darth Vader, and he did turn to the dark side. So when you think about it, yes, he was a Jedi, but he still had that dark side in him. And when he saw the dark side, obviously, in his nephew, he knew that it would lead to what his father had become, and he didn't want that to happen. So I personally, I liked the way that movie was, and I liked the way they portrayed Luke, and I mean, I could understand why they would be upset, but I kind of understood it. Like, he watched his father, not watched, but he did. When he found out who his father was, he saw what his father had turned out to be, and he didn't want his nephew, obviously, to turn out like that. So he wanted to do what he had to do to protect his nephew, and if that was killing him.
But that failed.
I mean,
but
yeah.
that was the whole thing. That's what possibly led to him going to the dark side, which is the same thing as Anakin tried to, what we were saying about same movies, like the same plot line kind of, that is what Anakin saw his wife dying, Padme dying, and he wanted to go to the dark side to save her, but him going to the dark side is what actually killed her.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, double-sided sword there.
So it's like, if he didn't do it, would he have been good all along and none of that would have ever happened? I mean, we'll never really know.
That's true. And on to the last movie, everybody.
The Rise of Skywalker!
I love this movie.
Why?
You
don't know?
It was just the whole movie. Because the movie before that is when was it the last movie that he kills his master and he takes over? Or was that the movie before that? Was the last movie when...
In The Last Jedi is when he kills Snoke.
Yeah, because you're like, oh my god, he's gonna be good, and then he's not good.
And he tries to get Padme to join him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That was the last Jedi.
My favorite part about the last movie is when they're fighting and Luke finally shows up. Yeah.
That's The Last Jedi. That's not the last movie. Luke dies in The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, the last movie. The Last Jedi is when Luke shows up at the end, and that's The Last Jedi. You're confusing them. You've only seen him once, so we can't blame her.
I've only seen him once, guys. I don't know. I've only seen him once.
The Last Jedi is... Luke dies becomes one with the Force in the
Yes,
Last Jedi.
that's my favorite
When he becomes one with the Force, or
part.
when
My
he
favorite part.
when he dies.
When he comes to one with the Force, why would it be when he dies? My favorite part of the last movie is when their son finally comes back to the light side. It's my
To
favorite.
help her
Yeah.
saves Rey.
It's like we were watching the movie and like there are like everybody is like fighting and it's at the moment where like everybody's dying and I turned around and I said, well, this movie sucks.
She's a
it's
very
all over.
negative person all the time. So as soon as something bad is happening in a movie, she's like, why are we even watching this? F this movie, blah, 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 blah. This movie sucks. This is the worst movie. Of course they're going to end it this way. I'm like, just wait. They're not going to end it that way.
I was like, of course, like this is how it all ends and of course then everybody comes to help and he comes to help her and it ends perfectly with her she's dead and then he comes back up and he gives her his life force and then when they kiss I'm kind of like, ew, that's kind of gross, but
then he dies.
it was like the perfect ending. But I think at the end of the movie they were like, the lady's like, oh, no one has been in this land for like forever and what is your name? And she like, of course, says that she's a Skywalker and you were like, oh, of course.
No, I said, before she even said it. By the way, this was the first time I watched Rise of the Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. That I've only seen them one time and I watched them the first time with her. Saw The Force Awakens twice, on the previous Star Wars movies a bunch of times. So The Last Jedi, after seeing it one time, I loved it. Rise of Skywalker, as soon as she was like, oh, what's your name? And she's like, Rey. And then she was like, what's your last name? Or what's your family name or whatever? She's like, Skywalker. And before that happened, I said to you, I $100 guarantee you she's going to say Skywalker.
Well, yeah, because before she says Skywalker, the lady's like, well, what's your last name? And then she like looks off in the distance and Luke and Leia are like standing there and of course then she looks back and she's like, Skywalker, and you're like, I mean, the last movie title is Rise of the Skywalker.
This is of Skywalker.
I don't care. Rise of Skywalker. I mean, obviously, at the end of the movie, she takes Skywalker as her last name. This is Rise of the Skywalker.
Of Skywalker.
It doesn't matter.
You can say of the.
It doesn't matter.
I said of the too, the first.
Yeah.
It alright, so rank them. We haven't watched Rogue One, which I hear ties. You watched Rogue One and it leads right into episode 4, and we didn't watch Han Solo or Solo, a Star Wars story. We never watched Clone Wars or any of the animated stuff, so we're just going solely based off the 9 movies, the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. So if you had to pick the trilogy, one trilogy, what is your favorite trilogy?
Dang. What's my favorite? That's hard because I like them all, and obviously, like, they all like are a continued story. I have to say the last 3. I really
Knew you'd pick those.
I really liked. I mean, if like I had to pick them in like order, like if you went like 1, 2, 3, like in orders, like I picked the new ones, and then the second ones, and then the old ones.
So the old ones are your least favorite?
Yeah. Like,
Lame.
what is yours?
The original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'll go with the new ones and then the prequel. So I'll go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. If I had to pick specific movies.
So me and yours are the only thing that's switched is because that's what I would mean.
What do you mean? That's
I like.
You said you like the new ones.
I would go
And
6,
then
7, 8, 9, and then I would
1,
go.
2, 3.
No,
That's
1,
what
2,
you
3 would be last.
That's not what you said.
That's not what I meant then. Because 1, 2, 3 with Anakin is just like.
But you love the love story.
I did, but Anakin turning into Darth Vader was just ruined.
So you like it when he's already Darth Vader?
Okay, like that's how I do it.
Or you want to at least see the love story?
Yeah, I just really sounds the list. Okay, I stick to it.
Yeah, you said it right the first time.
Yeah.
I know what you want. But specific movies, I would have to go. I like Return of the Jedi. The Last Jedi. So I like Return of the Jedi from the original trilogy. Then I like The Last Jedi from the sequel trilogy. And then I like Revenge of the Sith from the prequel trilogy. If I said that right. I think I said all the prequel, sequel, right?
Yeah.
So I like my top 3 movies are one from each of the trilogies.
I like picking episodes because
That's why.
episodes are episodes.
Is that how it goes?
Too long. Do you want me to really pick 3?
You don't have to pick 3. I was just saying that out of my favorite, I'm just saying if I could pick the ultimate trilogy, it would be Revenge of the Sith, so you can see Anakin become Darth Vader. Then it would be the Return of the Jedi, so you can see the redemption of Anakin.
Yeah.
And then it would be the Last Jedi, so you can see Luke's own struggle and then his ultimate not demise, his ultimate
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, his storyline come to a close.
Yeah, I get
That's
it.
the ultimate trilogy. That ends, in my opinion, those 3 movies are the Skywalker
Yeah.
saga, because it, like Leia, yeah, she's Skywalker and she has her
Sorry,
her
everybody.
storyline that ties in with it, and I like her storyline, but when Luke dies, it kind of closes that. Still deep.
Sorry, everybody, feeding my squirrel over there.
So Anakin becoming Darth Vader's redemption, then Darth Vader's son's own struggle, and then rise to redemption and saving his friends.
Really?
That's what I like.
So those are the Star Wars movies, everybody. We went through them all. Like we said, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen them.
And if we say anything wrong, please correct us.
Yeah, I mean,
We're not claiming to be Star Wars
No.
like geeks or
I just
fanboys.
watched all the movies. Like,
Speaking of fanboys, that was a good Star Wars movie. Not a Star Wars movie, but about Star Wars fanboys where they break into the ranch
oh yeah,
to
yeah.
steal episode 1
Episode
when
1.
it first comes out.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
The guy dying of cancer.
Yeah,
That's the one you cried during.
yeah.
Another Star Wars movie you cried during.
He couldn't believe that I cried during.
I
this,
could believe it.
during this, but they were sad.
It is sad.
Like, any girl who watches this movie would probably cry. The guy's just like, well,
Some guys cry.
we didn't.
'Cause I've seen them. I cried the first time.
Yeah, they're upsetting. Because you, like, grow to love these characters, and then when, like, he turns evil, or when his wife dies, or in, like, 4, 5, and 6, when his family dies, and then, like, when certain people just, like, die, and it's upsetting. It's upsetting, everybody.
Yep, it is.
So, that is Star Wars, everybody.
That is a wrap on Friday Nights in the Cigar Lounge, Star Wars edition.
Star Wars edition.
I figure out what we're doing next week.
Yes, we do.
Community.
You want to do Community?
Supernatural. We could go on for 15 seasons.
Oh, Jesus. No.
See, what I was thinking about doing for my podcast? I was thinking I could do like movie, like, you know how I would like to be like a Svengoolie.
Oh, yeah?
Like a horror host. Like, not because obviously I can't broadcast a movie,
Yeah.
but if I'm like just do little snippets of watching the movie and then me commenting about the movie and then this is what this blah blah blah, and we just talk like a commentary basically.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun podcast.
Yeah.
Like you just do a podcast of you watch a movie and you're just commentating on it. You don't hear the person doesn't hear the movie or anything,
Yeah, do that.
because then you could have civil rights liability
Right.
issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you could do that. I mean, you're not playing any of the movie
You
or
can.
anything.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to.
But like we just watch a horror movie or Creature from the Black Lagoon and we just comment on it.
Yeah.
And we tell the listener like, hey, start your movie now, and then our commentary will
Would
sync
go
up
along
with the
with it.
movie.
Yeah, I could do that.
That would be kind of fun. That's what I would imagine my podcast would be. Like just commentating on movies and posting a movie.
Yeah, we could do that.
They're, like
So,
stupid.
next week we could talk about how Wisconsin is opening up again and how we feel about that.
Is that gonna be a whole episode? That could just be like the beginning of an episode. It could have been the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, it could have been. This is the hardest part, is trying to figure out what we're going to be talking about. Because at first I had stuff lined up, and now we're just kind of trying to figure it out.
Or we just do a random episode and just talk about everything. Talk about current events. How about that? Current events. We just talk. Sound good?
That's fine. That's what you're gonna do.
That's kind of what we do anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing. Okay. An episode about current events and what's going on in the world.
Life, your life, my life. I don't know. But then that's like a whole thing. We could do like if we watch an episode of Community and just comment on it. Like your
Are you
favorite
still
pic.
on this?
What?
You still on this?
Yeah,
Oh.
I am. Why?
Yeah, I mean, we could. Definitely. Still in the window crying. I don't know if any of you guys can hear that.
Probably not.
Probably not. Our cat has been in the window crying this whole time.
Take the video to him.
Oh yeah, I'll show you guys.
Take the mic.
I don't need to take the mic, I'm gonna unplug you guys. So, just so you guys can see,
This is the cigar lounge.
this is the cigar lounge. This is our little
Panorama.
setup, and we are
Quick panorama.
outside. And then I'll take you guys real fast. Oh, I think there's a squirrel in. And there he is. Yeah, sitting this whole time just crying in the window. Yeah. Yeah, people are seeing you. Yeah. So I thought I'd to you guys out because this is literally like no fancy setup, no nothing. This is just this is what it is. So. Sorry, I got my hand in the way there. And then I had guys set up on a little tripod and sit out here and we record every Friday.
So when you heard trucks going by or neighbors or the cars, that's all happening.
Yeah, it's all happening. So next week's episode? Current events?
Yeah. Just do an update.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Friday Nights in the Cigar Lounge. And for next week's episode, we decided that we are going to do current events, just what's going on in the world and what's going on in our lives. And hopefully we will see you guys all next week.
Bye.
Did you want to say something?
No. I don't say anything on the sign off. Only on the video.
Alright guys, so
That's a wrap.
that's a wrap. I gotta
For
get up.
Star Wars Day.
My little remote I have, usually I can turn it off, but it's out of battery. So.
Patina. Delicious. The One Line Podcast.